Joining us now is Arizona Congressman and former Navy SEAL Eli Crane. Thank you for joining us, Congressman. I want to get to all the action on Capitol Hill, but as much as people throughout the world and in our country are hurting over the assassination of Charlie Kirk, it seems to ring a little louder in Arizona, where your family lives, where Charlie Kirk's family was living, where he was building the Turning Point empire. I want your reaction to this terrible assassination.
Well, Matt, like everybody else, I was completely devastated. Charlie was a friend of mine. He was a mentor as well. I'm not surprised that, there was somebody out there, willing to assassinate a guy like Charlie Kirk. This is something that, I've been warning others about for a long, long time as we've seen the left become more radicalized. And it's just heartbreaking because at the end of the day, all Charlie wanted to do was have a conversation. He repeatedly said in many interviews that, violence often erupts when two sides quit talking to each other. And so Charlie wanted to continue to do that. And, just one of the most intelligent guys I've ever met in my life. I remember you and I did an event with Charlie in Prescott, Arizona. Probably about a year and a half ago. And, just being able to be in the room and, listen to you guys debate about, what President Trump should do to close out his own election. And, it was amazing and awesome. And one thing I'll say about Charlie is that he was the guy that would be one of the first to pick up the phone and call you when you were down and encourage you. And it's one of the reasons I loved him so much. But I also love the fact that he was so committed to seeking truth and to going into institutions like academia that many of us had written off a long time ago. He just had a vision that a lot of people couldn't see, and he had, the drive and the discipline to actually execute on that vision. And he made believers out of a lot of us. And, I think, we're going to miss him, but I also think that, his movement is going to continue to grow. Just looking at some of the comments from Erica, his wife, saying that she's going to make Turning Point even greater and bigger than it ever was when Charlie was alive. And then it's not just words. You see, how many new Turning Point chapters have opened up, since he was assassinated last week. It's in the tens of thousands, and it's a sad, sad time for our country. And one of the things that, just was the hardest to watch, as if that wasn't bad enough to watch, is watching radical leftists celebrate his death. I mean, it's just almost beyond comprehension.
No question about it. You know a great deal about being in a contested environment as a former Navy SEAL. And I always struggled as a congressman balancing security against the desire to be close to people, to not feel like there were barriers between a representative and those they intend to serve. You talk about the town halls that you hold in the Cowboy Church in Prescott, Arizona. Charlie joined you, I joined you. How are you thinking about security in this government funding bill? There's enhanced dollars for security. Are we getting to a stage of politics now where we have to start sacrificing more of that intimacy and sincerity that we get in small group settings with people who agree with us and don't agree with us?
Yeah, I mean, we absolutely are. I mean, I can tell you there's a real concern up here and a buzz on Capitol Hill that I would say is even bipartisan. But right now, I think Republicans are definitely, feeling the majority of that. Where, as you mentioned, Matt, when you're out campaigning and talking to voters, your objective is to connect with them and to hear them. And so you want to be able to get close to them. And then you see things like this happen. You saw the assassination attempts on the president. And a lot of voters are very concerned. I heard one, voter say that he's actually had to move because the threats got so bad, and that there were two open investigations. I think there were counter-terrorist investigations open because individuals had threatened his grandchildren. And so this is the political environment that we live in. And, it's not how it ever should be. But when you see what happened last week, and then you see the celebration from, many on the left, there's no way around it.
Yeah, there is extra funding for security in this legislation that you'll be considering, but not really much else in terms of any change or programmatic reform. Bring us inside the discussions that House Republicans in the majority are having about what the options are, what the demands are from Democrats, and how you see us ensuring that we don't have a really bad economic event occur in the country.
Yeah, well, obviously, I think most Republicans, want to support the administration and the president. We definitely don't want to see the government shut down while we're in charge of it. I know that there are some frustrations, from many in the party that we just continue to kick the can down the road regarding fiscal irresponsibility and just continuing to spend at levels that we have in the past, which are, way beyond our means. And so, there's a lot of back and forth going on right now. As you know, this is the play call right now is a short-term stopgap or CR to get us, into late into November. And I think, that's where you're going to see the possibility of an omnibus or mini buses. And, it's going to be interesting, Matt. It's going to be interesting.
It is interesting how Democrats are reacting to this because they voted for these types of bills under Joe Biden. Now their base seems to be putting a lot of pressure on them to force some kind of shutdown or extract some political pound of flesh, when that's not really how the system is set up right now with Republican majorities in the House and Senate. When you peek over the fence line into your neighbor's backyard over into the Democratic Party, what are the pressures that some of those members are under?
Well, I can only give my perspective, but I do think there's a perspective to stop this president, this administration at every single turn that they possibly can. And so that's something that they're going to have to deal with, within their own party and everything that comes along with that.
Yeah, well, I know after this past week's events, you'll be hugging your family a little tighter. I certainly have. Please give all the Cranes the best from the Gaetzes, and we are incredibly proud of the work you're doing on Capitol Hill. Arizona Congressman Eli Crane.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.